This is the Comics Alternative on location at Collected Comics and Games in Plano, Texas. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Comics Alternative on location. We are at Collected Comics and Games in Plano, Texas. They are located at 3100 Independence Parkway, and that is on the corner of Independence and Parker in Plano, Texas. So if you're in the DFW area, especially if you're up near Plano way, definitely come in and say hi to the guys. I do not know of a comic shop that has this friendly and this knowledgeable of associates who work here. I mean, they will go out of their way to help you and talk with you. And just to prove how nice they are, they allow me to come in once a month and record these kind of episodes. Now, usually, the store manager, or at least lately, the store manager, Sabrina, has been joining us. Now, she's not here tonight, although we do have a representative of the shop here. And Brian, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Okay, and now you're going to be coming and going because you're working with Freddie there at the front end.
Yep. If things stay as slow as they are right now, I'll probably sit down. But if we get people coming in and out,
sure, jump in anytime and engage in the comics talk. Now, joining us in the table, in fact, this is probably the biggest crowd we've had in a while. We have some regulars and some new people. Now, some of the regulars that listeners of the show, you may recognize both their name and their voice, is Craig.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Matt.
Hello everyone.
And
Nick.
I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry. See, you should come every month. And Nick, how are you?
I'm good. Glad to be back.
And he'll disappear for another few months.
Yes. Cool. He like comes out. Is his shadow there or not?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
he's like, I can come out. Yay.
yeah. But we also have a couple of new people joining us. Chris, I just met you a second ago. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And then Tristan. And Tristan, this is the first time joining us, although you and I have been communicating via Facebook.
Yep.
So it's I both do and don't know you, but welcome on the On Location show.
Thank you.
So we have what? Not counting me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 people. Wow. So
Nice.
a 7-person round table, counting me. Now, for those new to our On Location shows, what we do sometimes is ahead of time, like a few weeks ahead of time, several of us will decide on a particular theme. And sometimes those themes may be seasonally based. So in the past, during the summer, we've done shows on comics and summer blockbusters. Around Halloween, horror comics. I think we've done February shows that look at love comics.
Yeah.
Those aren't really long discussions because most people, romance comics just aren't big anymore. But many times, as tonight is the case, it'll be just open topic. Whatever we want to talk about, guys, it's fair game. Feel free to jump in and share as you see fit. Although there is one thing I would like to, maybe we can start off with this, is to discuss, and that is to find out some first-hand knowledge from Craig about San Diego Comic-Con, because of everyone here at the table, you're the only one who had the joy, can we call it that?
Yeah, it was a joy.
Of going to San Diego.
I love going to San Diego.
So share some of your experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, always the bad is the tons and tons of lines that you sit in, all that type of stuff. But if you're going to go to San Diego, you're going to be in a line somewhere to see anything cool or to get anything cool or do any of that stuff. But a lot of the good stuff, I got to meet a lot of amazing creators from the comic book world and from the cartoon world and voice actors and all that stuff, which is they're always out there ready to meet people. And the coolest thing about San Diego is you don't have to pay to get their autograph. They're actually paid by the studio for them to be there, so you can just get their autographs and stuff like that. And all of the creators come with their, whatever they're working for, whether it's Marvel, DC, or independent titles like Dark Horse or with Image, they're all there just ready to sell their books and all that type of stuff. So you can meet some amazing creators that you may not have an opportunity to meet at local conventions and stuff like that. And of course, the big names are out there like Marvel and DC promoting all of their movies and all of that type of stuff. So it's
I hope
overwhelming.
they promote their comics as well.
They do put out their comic books. In fact, Marvel and DC were putting out a lot of their creators for. Mostly Marvel is doing a lot of their Avenger lines, and directors. They had their guys from S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic book were out there, and a whole bunch of other different signings for all of them. And DC was doing it as well. They had a whole bunch of their guys out as well. It was good. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, now I've never been to San Diego, so I'm completely ignorant. I have a question. When you said that with many of the people who, let's say, work in film or animation, that you could get their signature and they didn't have to. You don't have to pay for that.
Right.
Is that the same with everyone there?
This
so
is
even
pretty much
comics
the same,
creators.
Yeah, pretty much the same with anyone.
Really?
It is. Yeah, because San Diego now believes, and it's always been kind of the case, where they are actually. I mean, these creators and stuff. They're not going on their own, going like local cons and stuff like that. They're actually being paid by the company that they work for to be there, and so therefore they're not charging anything. You're just basically have to stand in line to, get that, and that can be a problem in itself because they can only be there for so long. I mean, I know they would love to stay there and meet every 200,000 people, but they can't. So you have to go and stand in line to get tickets to go stand in line to go meet your creator. So,
because a number of the smaller cons and maybe not so smaller cons that they go to, I mean, there's some the vast majority of the creators there. You don't have to pay anything to get a signature, but there's some that you do. Now, I know that Neil Adams is someone who goes around to all the local ones here, the smaller ones, definitely the Wizard World. He travels around, and he's gonna charge bucks for his. Now,
he was at San Diego. He had his own booth and everything, so he charged. He charged. Yeah, he charged. He had his own booth. He wasn't. He's Neil Adams. He's his own person. Kind of like if you're big enough, you can get your own booth, and if you're willing to pay the money for it, and then you can charge your own stuff. But most of it, if you're, like say Brian K. Vaughan, he may just travel with whoever he's working with at the time, and he won't charge for anybody, whether it's for DC or Marvel or whoever he's working with right now. Image, he'll just be at the Image booth, and what the Image will do is to make certain that the line doesn't get too crazy. Is they'll hand out tickets a day before to say, hey, you're in the Brian K. Vaughan line, and then. As long as you have that ticket, you can be in line and get a signing from him without being charged or anything like that.
So is Craig the only one at the table who has ever been to San Diego? Has anyone here been to San Diego before? Nope. Okay, so Brian, you have. So when have you been to?
A long time ago. Okay. About 7 or 8 years ago.
So you're in 2008 too?
Yeah.
I was there too. Yeah. Nice.
So I was, I lived in California at the time, and so I was like, oh, this thing would be cool to go to, and so we ended up, me and my dad loaded up, drove up to San Diego. We lived in Apple Valley at the time, I guess down to San Diego, and did the same thing. And this was a little bit before the Twilight movies had come out, so the lines weren't quite as crazy and all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
And that was before San Diego really became San Diego.
Right, yeah.
Because one of the reasons why I was curious if anybody had been to the con before is how it may have changed over the past, let's say, 5 to 8 years. And
it's changed dramatically.
You have seen
because I was there in about 2008, and I was there last year, and I've been there again this year. It's drastic because now it is the con for everybody to go to. It's kind of like the mecca of cons. Everybody wants to go. And so it went from, it was always a big con. It always had 100,000 people, but now it's jumped up to 200,000 people a day. And Hollywood has, I don't want to blame this all on Hollywood, but Hollywood has also realized there's so many people that they can promote their products on, and so all the movie guys are there promoting up their stuff, and even Marvel and DC's there promoting, I hate to say it this way, but they're more really promoting their movies than some of their comic book lines.
They know where the revenue is generated.
Right, and so it's more of an entertainment con than it is a comic con now. It's the comic books are they're there, and I'm one of the few nerds that go there to learn about the comic books. But it's more of their second deal. It's more of an entertainment con now than it is a comic con. But still, it's a lot of fun. Everyone that you could ever want to meet is going to be there, whether if it's entertainers, actors, actresses, or even comic book people. They're going to be there in some way or fashion, and that's pretty cool. So,
yeah, I've said this before on the show that before I die, I want to go to San Diego Comic-Con at least once.
I agree. I think everyone should go at least once, realize the insanity of it, and the convention center itself is a mile long, and so you'll exhaust yourself going up and down through the whole deal. But it's gotten so huge now that it's taken over the entire downtown area of San Diego. So all of the hotels in the downtown area are all taken up with some form of Comic-Con stuff. Either like one of the hotels did nothing but games. So if you're a big Nintendo person, you could go over there and learn everything that's coming out with Nintendo. Another one was doing all the new Lego stuff, and it's just all over. And even the restaurants were getting on it. One restaurant had just a luncheon with all the image guys, from artists and writers and all the guys there, and they were just there, and you could have dinner with the image guys, and that was kind of fun. It was kind of interesting to see them do that kind of stuff. So it's kind of dorky, I know, but
I'm envious again.
Yeah,
I wish that
the image one was really fun, but but Dark Horse will do that type of stuff too. That they'll you just have to be at the right restaurant at the right time sometimes.
So were you a part of the image one?
I did get to go to the image one. That was a lot of fun.
So what image creators did you run into?
None of the really big names, but the guy that did I can't remember them all. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names.
I put you on the spot in front of the microphone.
But it was a good value of a lot of the artists and a lot of the writers that are doing some of the current stuff, and the media director from Image was there, and he was talking about where Image is going to go into the future, and or what their plans were hopefully doing, and what it's that they're going to continue staying the course that they're currently doing, that they're going to be an independent where creators can come in and make their own content and be able to live, be able to keep their content and not be work for Marvel. They're just working for themselves,
right?
And it was kind of cool to meet some of those guys and hear their opinions on what they're creating and why they're doing what they choose to do. So it's interesting, and that I think Image will eventually become. It won't be one of the big three. It will be the big three.
Right. I mean, you can already see that in sales over the past couple of years, especially that they have gotten a percentage of the market now that is definitely significant.
Yeah, and they keep putting out stuff that everybody likes. I mean, not just superhero books, but they have superhero books, but they also have science fiction.
That's more of a rarity than.
Yeah, but I like it because they'll do anything: science fiction, western, war, whatever. It's out there. So it's what makes them a little bit cooler than the others.
Yeah,
a little bit more open-minded.
Well, maybe as a way of we can still talk about San Diego, but a way of segueing from San Diego to a broader topic that everybody could potentially discuss is you were mentioning Image in some of the more recent Image titles. How many Image readers do we have here at this table? So most people who've raised their hands. So what Image titles are you reading right now, let's say over the past month, that really excite you, or maybe even piss you off for that matter?
I'm currently reading Klaus. Started about 7-8 months ago. It's essentially a Santa Claus.
Oh, that's dynamite.
Is that dynamite?
Yeah,
I think it is. Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
It seems like something Image would do, but I'll just save you and say Descender.
Oh,
I'll save you and say
I haven't been keeping up with Descender though. You can talk about Descender then. Talk about Descender.
Okay. But no, Klaus is good.
Well, it's just the final issue actually came out today, so I'm really excited to get home and actually read it.
Wow.
It finally wrapped up, and I'm excited to see the finale.
Okay.
That's weird. You say finally, and you say it's already wrapped up. Was it?
Well, I thought it was still ongoing.
No, it's miniseries.
Okay.
Yeah.
shows what I know.
No, I guess one could have an ongoing about Santa Claus, but at what point might it become like stuck in the same routine over and over again? So in this narrative arc, Santa gets stuck in the chimney. Damn it!
Well, they've had Klaus books or comic books before, as well as Krampus.
Oh, yeah.
Along the same lines,
yeah.
in the same kind of universe.
Right,
So,
but this is Grant Morrison.
sure,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's also Santa Claus as a younger person, not the white-bearded old man that we all know.
And a Viking.
Yeah, it's Grimdark Santa Claus.
And the collection's going to be out just in time for Christmas.
Nice.
Exactly.
See, that's one of those titles. And again, Dynamite. I know we were talking about Image, but it's one of those that I read the first couple of issues and then stopped getting the single issues. Not because I didn't like it, but I thought I'm just going to wait till the collection comes out, which I assumed would be before Christmas.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of those ones that you're going to want to read it over and over again just in a single book form.
I recommend Wicked and Divine.
Yep, great.
That's been a fun book.
Is that still sustaining its
still sustaining.
narrative interest?
Yeah, at least for me anyways, and maybe that's just me, but I like it. Still talks about the crazy people that believe themselves to be gods, or maybe are gods, or and it's just I don't know, it's weird, and I like weird, so it keeps me interested in seeing what's going to happen next.
I actually had two things now to say now that you mentioned Wicked and the Divine, but one, just to take it back to San Diego real quick, I think one of y'all mentioned, I think it was Craig mentioned Twilight, and that was kind of not to talk about something that I'm sure all of us love here at the table, Twilight, but I remember seeing online a film critic that I'm a really big fan of. He mentioned that Twilight was kind of the turning point in San Diego becoming going from being the biggest still comic book convention ever to the biggest convention period, because
Yeah, I think that's fair.
that was kind of the thing that made it go from being this is really big for comic books, but in the more quote-unquote mainstream media, it's still just kind of it's there.
That's actually a real fair thing, because I remember a long time ago when I was there, Twilight was the first time they introduced it to anybody, was that this new stuff was out there, and my mom, who's a librarian, had to call her and was like, what the heck is Twilight, and why are all these people here, and why are they all excited about it? And that was the first time that they actually put out and promoted it, and it became an instant success. And that's where Hollywood's like, hey, this is an excellent opportunity to get in front of fans and show us what we got. And ever since that, it's just gotten huge. Where you got a captive audience there that wants to see what's coming out and what's new and meet all these guys. And it really exploded since Twilight and all that type stuff. So yeah, you can blame Twilight for San Diego going crazy.
Because when you think of San Diego Comic-Con, you obviously think Twilight. So.
Yeah.
That's what I think of every time. Yeah.
It was sort of like Comic-Con was the first time in like sort of the post-digital YouTube era when Hollywood companies had an event that they could go to and say, like, Warner Brothers would say, oh, we have these 5 movies coming out in the next calendar year, like, what one event can we use to promote them? It's 200,000 people here, we might as well preview it to these people, get this hype going before we release it on YouTube, release it on the internet, and before everyone sees it. And so it's a incredibly smart marketing move, at least I think, to be able to, sit it down in front of 100,000 people, and then at least if you get boos, we're gonna have to edit this before we put it out on the internet.
Yeah, and it was also stuff that they would get out there, and what the people do, they go out there and eventually tell all their friends, and their friends tell their friends, and it's a cheap marketing tool to, before the internet really became the internet. So.
Right. Well, even now, I actually have a friend that, even though he doesn't go to San Diego Comic-Con, he still gets the time off so he can sit on his computer and watch everything that comes out from San Diego Comic-Con.
Hey, I'll do the exact same thing. I'll watch all the panels.
Real good way to spend a week.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you're not even there. He's like, but I have to know everything. I'm like, oh Lord.
He is their ideal person to aim at. I'm not there, I'm not experiencing it, but I have to know.
Exactly. Whereas I can just wait for it and I'll go, oh, that's cool. I learned about that now.
Take the cut down version when everything's done.
Exactly.
Yeah, the past few years, I've resisted the temptation of, let's say, checking tweets or any kind of updates about what's going on in this or that in San Diego. I mean, I guess I basically consume San Diego Comic-Con passively, in that I wait for information to get to me, and because I'm on publisher review email lists, then I find out, I get a lot of that promotional material, what they're going to do, what they just announced, yada, yada, yada. So I just wait for the emails to come in, and that's how I find out whatever has been announced.
Well, a lot of us aren't like that. You know?
Yeah, we're not as lucky and as fortunate as you.
Although the one thing I will seek out is the winners of the Eisner Awards. So I forgot that Friday night that they were given out. I forgot to check late at night, but first thing Saturday morning I woke up and then I saw which ones won the awards. So
yeah, that's a hard panel to get into too. That's really, because I wanted to go see it this year, and it was, everybody else thought so too, and it was a really hard one to get into. So unfortunately I didn't get in. So.
Wow. Well, you know, we were commenting on the show immediately following the recording that followed the Eisners this year about the number of winners that were either books that we had discussed on the show and people that we've interviewed and had on the show before. So, you know, pretty good track record for us.
Yeah. Well, they were good writers. They were good. Yeah. A lot of those were really good books.
So, notice to all notable writers and such out there, come on the Comics Alternative and you'll win the Eisner Awards.
That's right. Well, yeah, we like to think of it as we give people the Comics Alternative bump. Yeah. Nice. So they come on the show or we review their books, and they get a little of attention. We'd like to think that now. Is that a reality? And, you know, in my more sober moments, probably not. But I like to delude myself by thinking that that's the case.
Hey, whatever helps.
Yeah,
whatever helps.
Seems to back it up this year, so we'll see how it goes next year.
There's stuff I wouldn't have read if I hadn't heard about it on here, so...
I'm the same way. I'm more of a superhero guy, and it wasn't until I met him, and he said, hey, you need to read these books. I probably would never have read them.
Of course, it's going to sound like I'm, you know, a marketing guy here for the Comics Alternative, which I guess I am. But I mean, that's one of the reasons why we decided to do what we do. Anything other than mainstream superheroes is fair game. Not because we don't like the mainstream superheroes. Both of us do. Andy and I both do. It's just that all the other podcasts, almost every other comics-related podcast out there either mostly or exclusively devotes themselves to the mainstream superhero universes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do Marvel. Receive a lot of advertisement.
And some, and of those shows that are more indie or alt-based, alternative comics-based, they're, I think, almost exclusively interview shows. Maybe with one or two exceptions. And so we're the only alternative, small press, indie, whatever you want to call it, non-mainstream superhero podcast that mixes things up, because we have interviews, we have reviews, we have roundtable discussions, we have on-location shows, both here, like we're doing now, and at various events.
You do a preview show. Where you
we do a preview show. We go
look through the preview stuff.
And now you guys are branching out even more, doing European comics and web comics and manga.
Yep. Yeah, we're all over the place.
That's a good thing.
I think so,
Something for everybody.
Yeah.
Except for my time.
Exactly.
Which is
you don't want to have a
becoming
life
less and
anyways.
less.
No.
You don't need sleep.
You're into comics. You don't need a life.
Yeah. So, but Tristan and other people said the same thing. You know, I didn't know about some of these, and Craig, you mentioned these titles until I heard it on your show. Thanks for the recommendation. And that's one of the reasons why we do what we do. I mean, we do what we do primarily because Andy and I love to talk about this stuff, and the other co-hosts as well. I mean, we do it all for a love of our subject matter. But helping to introduce other people, or people to other titles that they wouldn't normally have looked at, is, I think, a really good thing. For example, okay, let me use the show this week that went up today, in fact, and the one we will probably be doing for next week. And I say probably, we're still waiting on a copy of a book to come in, but I think we'll get it in time. This week is probably the closest to the superhero stuff that we've done, in that we looked at the new collection from Dark Horse, Tarzan, the complete Joe Kubert years, and then we looked at issue number 1 of the new ongoing Faith from Valiant, and then at the first 2 issues of Black Hammer, Dean Orenston and Jeff Lemire. Now, all of them deal with superheroes in one form or another. Now, with Faith and Black Hammer, it's not big two superheroes, so okay, that explains that. Including that. Now, Kupert's Tarzan, that was a DC title. And so, it does figure into the whole mainstream superhero thing.
He was a superhero
to some degree.
It's Tarzan.
Depending on what one's definition of superhero is.
Right. I mean, before there was Superman or Batman, there was Tarzan.
Yeah.
There was the
those kind of pulp
they were kind
heroes.
Of very superheroes. Yeah.
So that's the closest we've gotten to superheroes. But contrast that with what we're going to do next week. One of the titles we're going to be discussing, actually the two that you probably have never heard of before, and if you have, then great. One is a collection that comes out quarterly, I believe it is, and it's called Smoke Signal. And it is sold through Desert Island Books. If you go online and do a search for Desert Island, you'll see what they sell. But they also put out Smoke Signal. And Smoke Signal is kind of like a tabloid anthology, and it includes a lot of creators, many of which you probably may not have heard of. Many of them I haven't heard of. Some I am familiar with. Like, for instance, I know Tim Lane. Most recent book was the Lonesome Go from not quite 2 years ago. And he regularly publishes the Smoke Signal. In fact, that's how I found out about Smoke Signal, through Tim Lane. But there's that, and also we're going to be reviewing a single issue, I guess you can call it a mini comic, by a guy named Andy Warner called Fool's Gold. And this is someone that you probably haven't heard of before. He's one of the editors of a Canadian anthology called Irene, which we've discussed on the show before, or at least mentioned a few times. But again, he's probably one of those guys in his titles that he comes up with. People may not have heard about it, but if we can talk about it on the show with Fool's Gold, with Smoke Signal, and help spread the word, then we've done our job.
There you go.
Heck yeah.
So go out and get a copy of Smoke Signal and Fool's Gold in anticipation of next week's show.
Excellent. Well, since
I love ruins. They're so neat. Okay.
how about a preview for your thoughts on Black Hammer? 'Cause I really enjoyed that series so far.
Well, the second issue came out today.
Yeah, I just read it before you got
Yeah.
here. So,
I'm going to repeat some of the things that I probably said on the show that went up today. Is that I like it well enough, but it's kind of a wait and see for me. And not wait and see in a negative way, where it's like I don't like the first 1 and 2 issues. Prove it to me now with what's left. I'm just wondering if something like this will be better to read in the trade.
I think it is, just because they're leaving a lot out and anticipating, you'll keep reading to find out what's actually going on and what actually happened.
Look, with the very title itself. Now, here, the premise of Black Hammer, and how many people have read Black Hammer? I don't want to spoil anything at all. But,
I'm behind.
But basically the premise is you have a collection of, about 6, I guess, superheroes who were who worked in, was it Spiral City? I think it's the name?
City.
Yeah, Spiral City. And then something happened about 10 years previously to where they are now living on a farm in a rural area in a small town, and they can't leave that town. One of their members, though, only one of their members has been able to leave, and that is the hero Black Hammer, the title of the series.
Right.
And I bring this up because the thing that even by issue 2 has not been explained or even really touched upon much at all is what the hell happened to Black Hammer. And I like the fact that we're still teasing this out after issue 2.
Yeah.
But at what point will that teasing become problematic? It's in the very title, right?
Right.
The idea of this character, Black Hammer. So he apparently, and I'm assuming it's a he, is important enough to where his superhero name is stamped on the series title. What role does he play in this history? We don't
I think
know yet.
it's more like a symbol, like the Black Hammer is all that's left of this hero. They can't leave, and he represents the loneliness and isolation, that symbol represents. So, that's how I took it, at least.
Now, I think I may like the second issue better than the first.
Yeah.
In that, what is the character's name?
Golden Gale.
Golden Gale, right. Now, she's a Shazam character.
Yeah.
Or Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
That's his name.
She's a reverse Captain Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. And why is she a reverse Captain Marvel?
Because every time she says these magic words, she goes from a 55-year-old adult into I think it's like a 12-year-old kid. And, I mean, she basically has all the same kind of powers as Shazam. But, yeah, just imagine a 12-year-old kid smoking, drinking, cursing. And
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah. She's got an attitude. It's awesome.
Yeah, I just appreciate any reference to the big cheese historically. And so I'm glad that this is the Shazam reference. And her story took up the vast majority of issue number 2.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I liked it. And I love that kind of inverse effect. No matter how old she got, once she said, and it starts with a T, the word that she...
Zephram or something like that?
It starts with a Z.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it started with a T. I guess I was wrong. Yeah. But whatever magic word she says that I can't remember, no matter how old she is, she's, 12 years old now.
Yeah.
So when she was 12, she turned 12 with superpowers.
Right.
When she was 20-some, she turned 12 with superpowers.
Yeah.
Into her 50s and 60s, superpower.
Right.
With 12-year-old. So...
Zephram.
Yeah. Zephram?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Craig whipped out his issue, number 2.
I think that
And you got the Jeff Lemire cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty nice. I think that they're gonna do that is spotlight on each hero in each single issue and give a little backstory with each single one. You know, if it turns into either a short or long-going series, they can work with that. You know, kind of introduce each character.
Another reason why I have kind of a wait-and-see mindset with Black Hammer is because of what happened to Platona. Because I thought when Platona came out with the first couple of issues, I just assumed this was going to be an ongoing. But then again, that was an Image title, and Image does have a habit of beginning a new series, not telling you whether it's limited or not.
Yeah, let's go.
And then once you're on board, maybe thinking that it's ongoing, you find out that it's limited. And for some people that may be no big deal at all. For others, it may be an issue.
Bothers me.
Yeah,
This is a Dark Horse, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Dark.
This is Dark Horse, but Plutona was Image.
Was
Right.
It's Image sometimes, and even if it's not doing well, it's like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And it's like, but wait, I wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah, I really hope they don't do what they did with Secret Identities, where they just kind of wrapped it up in the last issue kind of
Okay, everybody.
a little bit too quick.
How was that? Because I read the first couple of issues. But
It was good up until the last issue. And then they kind of like tied all the loose ends, like they were going to do something with it if it ever continues in the near future. It felt a little too convenient. Like everything just...
I wonder if that's not kind of their plan almost, is to try and make you want there to be more of it.
Right, yeah.
And that's kind of a weird compliment to give, but when the worst thing that you can say about a series is that there's not enough of it, that's pretty good sign. It's just... I can imagine that'd be infuriating.
Yeah.
Every series you get from this publisher is just, okay, well, it's over now. I wish it wasn't.
And with a publisher like Image, where the creators are the ones who have to stake, the initial money out. I mean, they have to put up, so they don't have the backing of a big company like a DC or a Marvel, or even smaller publishers, let's say, like Dark Horse. They may go into it thinking that they would like for it to sustain itself for a while, but then realize that they don't. And this happened not too long ago with Ed Brisson and The Violent. He has said that he wanted it to go much longer than it did, but they ended after, I guess it was the first narrative arc, was it? First 5 issues or so, 5 or 6? Mm-hmm. And then he regretted having to do that, but it was an economic decision. He just couldn't afford to put it out without the kind of return. It just wasn't selling enough. So so something can start off as an ongoing, but then it's not as if Image or the creators are trying to trick you into getting on board to something. Then later you'll learn, oh, it's a miniseries, and we got your money. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for reading.
But that happens. I don't blame people for having to make the decision. In fact, another one, I'm thinking of someone, because we had Ed Brisson on last year. Rich Tommaso is someone else that we interviewed just recently, and with his Dark Corridor, that was going to be an ongoing. And I think I mentioned this on last month's episode as well.
Yeah, you did.
But he had to pull the plug on that just because it just wasn't viable. So this happens.
Yep.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen to Black Hammer because so far I'm enjoying it a lot. So
Yeah, I'm hoping for good things from Black Hammer.
yeah.
So what are some other titles that you guys are reading right now, maybe that you discovered through, San Diego, or maybe you discovered through the Comics Alternative?
So I just finished one, and actually I'm probably a little bit late. I'm at least a month late to finishing it because I just finished it a couple of nights ago. But since we were talking about Valiant earlier, the second series of Divinity finished late July, I want to say, or something like that, and I just finished it, and that's a really good book. It's a really, really good book, and like one thing that Valiant has done incredibly well is they've sort of culled down their titles well enough so that everything can cross over, relatively seamlessly into other things. And so Divinity II, you saw, Ninjak show up in Exo Manowar, and basically all of Unity show up, but not in an intrusive way. And they actually made an impact on the story. So it's not like in sort of Marvel and DC when you see, like a Civil War just happened and there was a big fight scene and suddenly, there's 90 heroes on a page, and like all of them are just sort of there. Whereas Divinity did a really good job of making sure that like everyone got screen time and all of that sort of stuff. But beyond that, it's a really, really incredible story. I don't know how much do you care about spoilers on
Well, we
this?
try not to do spoilers.
Okay, well I can do the premise then.
Okay.
So the premise is
For Divinity II.
for Divinity 2. Yeah. The premise
Electric
for
Boogaloo.
Divinity 2. Say what?
I said Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. The premise for Divinity 2 is that in the 1950s and 1960s, the Russians had sort of a top-secret deep space mission that they sent into space. They put people into cryo chambers, and they sent them far beyond the reaches of what we know. And the pilots that were there were 3 of them, reached sort of this eldritch space where there was a power happening, and it led them, and it gave them godlike powers. And the first Divinity focused on the sort of human aspects of the first guy. And it was interesting because he was a black Russian, so it dealt, it had some race issues, especially because he came back. I think the time frame of it was like 2012 when he came back, and so he was dealing with like a lot of racial undertones that sort of weren't there. And so that was kind of cool. But then the second one deals with the female version of that astronaut who comes back, and she's still very rooted in the Russian ideal of communism. And so she uses these godlike powers, or she starts to use these godlike powers to sort of, change the economy towards a more communist economy, and to sort of mold the world to what she thinks should have happened after the Cold War. And it handles that sort of stuff really, really well. And not to spoil anything, but Vladimir Putin shows up, and that was pretty cool to see Vladimir Putin just sort of show up. But like he has one of those like Inspector Gadget moments where he just sort of turns around in a dark chair and like puts his hand on his chin.
Is he wearing a shirt?
Yeah, he was wearing a shirt.
Okay, thank God.
Not riding a horse.
Because it would have been weird if he is not wearing a shirt and he has a tattoo of Donald Trump
Yeah,
over his heart.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would make the same face as well. Chris just made a face that I cannot explain because it was. I mean, it looked like a combination of biting into a lemon and smelling a rat-infested urinal mess of something. It had that look. Yeah. So the
I probably couldn't do it again if you asked me.
Yes. Yeah. That's a gross image. I'm sorry I came up with that. But.
So yeah, I would encourage anybody who's interested in sort of speculative science fiction to look into Divinity, because it's has a lot of sci-fi undertones that are very, very good.
And it connects with the Valiant universe, but not too deeply.
Yeah. You don't have to have basically any of the background. Their version of the Avengers is sort of there, and it says in the little editor's note, it's like, the super team, and then that's all the context that you need for whenever they show up.
Nice. That sounds kind of fun.
So, in addition to Brian, are other people reading Valiant titles?
I do not.
Oh, I love Valiant. Talk about Valiant all day.
I thought we'd have more Valiant fans here.
If I found something by them that I sounded interesting, I'd probably read it. I just kind of had a lot of other stuff on
I
the
think I may
plate.
have just found something.
I was gonna say, Divinity's
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll probably end up
yeah.
picking that up.
Divinity's real short. It's only 4 issues, so it's really really short. But yeah, like
You want the hut?
if we're gonna talk about Valiant here for a second, also pick up Ninjak. Ninjak is awesome. It's like violent Batman. It's great.
Violent
And
Batman is pretty violent.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's way more violent than Batman. Faith, like you said,
That's a really good one.
yeah, is really really good.
Archer and Armstrong?
Archer and Armstrong, Harbinger.
Okay, I do
yeah.
read that one. That one's hysterical.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Valiant does a really good job of doing in comics what Marvel does a really good job of doing in their movies, and making sure that there's a really strong sort of theme throughout all of their comic books. So where you have like Captain America: The Winter Soldier is like sort of a spy flick with superheroes. They do the same thing where it's like Archer and Armstrong is sort of like a buddy cop movie with superheroes. So they do a really good job of that.
Yeah, I really like the Valiant titles, although I haven't been keeping up with them as much as I had been. So.
One that came out today that I'd recommend is Backstagers from Boom Studios. It just came out today about this kid that goes to he's moved into a new town, he's going to a new school, so he's not handling it very well, and it's an all-boys school. So he decides just to get to know people, he goes in and goes to an after-school program, and of course he picks the drama club, and gets put in with the guys that make all the set designs, and it turns out the guys that do the set designs has a secret backstage door that leads into a different universe, and they go to adventures, and it's really cool. It's got written by James, I'm going to butcher his name, I'm sorry, James
Tynion the Fourth, yeah.
Yeah, and drawn by Ryan Singh, which I probably butchered his name too, which I apologize. And but it's really looks just really cool, and it's got some really cool stuff. So if you ever feel like you're alone in the universe, you got a book that's ready for you too. Boom Studios has been putting out some really cool stuff lately too. They've had the Backstagers, they've had the Kong and of Skull Island, where it tries to tell you an origin story for the King Kong universe, and it's also been doing some other cool books up there too. So if you're, I'm a Marvel fan and I love Marvel, but Boom Studios has been really knocking it out of the park with some cool stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, Lumberjanes, Gotham Academy, Giant Days is still going strong.
Yeah.
I don't think I've read anything from Boom Studios in a while that hasn't impressed me for at least a while.
Now I haven't read Giant Days. What's that like? I've been curious what it's about. But
basically, it's 3 British girls who are freshmen. I believe they're British.
Okay.
I want to say.
We're going to call them British.
I'm going to call them British. If I'm wrong,
yeah.
whatever. I haven't read the past 5 issues. I've been out of the loop. I've been busy. But so basically, they're freshmen in college. One of them has a really dark past, doesn't like to talk about it. The other one is, of course, your typical brainy. And then the other one is, for lack of a better term, a goth in a sense.
She's a very social goth.
She's a very social goth. She's a very happy goth.
She's a perky goth.
There you go, perky goth.
Happy Goth Perky.
You understand if you read it.
Oh yeah.
It's odd, but it works.
Subculture that didn't exist in my high school.
Right?
But should
Times have changed. But it's just all about their fun little adventures and them dealing with typical college problems of
It's very
parties
slice
and-
of life, yeah.
Yeah, it's slice of life. Yeah, we've got this test going up tomorrow, and I haven't even gone to the class once.
And the whole school gets sick.
Yeah.
So why is it called Giant Days? I thought that maybe a giant was involved. In
No,
something.
Unfortunately, no.
That's what I thought too, and then Nick turned me onto it, and I never saw it.
Where's the giant, Nick? Come on.
I have no idea why it's called Giant Days. I'm actually kind of curious now. I need to look that up.
But you
That's just
haven't read the
what it's
past
called.
5 issues, so like still a chance for giants.
There might be. I don't
30%
know.
chance of giants.
They might just take a right veer and go fantasy on me. Who knows?
I think it more has to deal with the fact of, like your college life is pretty much your giant. That you're
It's like
going out
these are
there.
the salad days.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that.
Okay, there we
Giant
go.
days.
The middle school years.
Middle school years, yeah.
But it's really a fun, relaxing read. It's nothing too intense or crazy. It's good to read whenever you want, basically. What else have I want to talk about a comic. I think it came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. Animosity.
Oh, the
Yes.
Aftershock.
Yes,
Yeah.
where
With Marguerite Bennett, she wrote that.
where all the animals basically have a single moment.
my God.
And
That hits you in the
all
heart.
gain human intelligence and decide to start attacking humans and getting back at them. Oh my gosh.
Sounds fun.
Absolutely intense and
Well,
fun.
to be fair, yeah, a lot of the animals start getting back of it for, awful stuff that people do to animals, like keeping them in zoos or selling off, tiger babies and stuff like that. But then there's our main hero is this girl who looks down at her dog, and the dog looks up and goes, "Hi, I love you," and she's like, "Oh, I love you too." And
Melts
so the
your
dog
heart.
is protecting her throughout this terrible stuff that's been happening, and it hits you right in the heart. It's pretty cool. So.
It was pretty emotional. It was really short for the first issue, I felt, though, but it definitely hooks you in. So I'm really excited to see where they go with that in the next few months, in the next couple issues.
So this is another in a series of comics where there's this animal rights theme to it, and humane attitudes toward animals, or animals fight back, or animals
Take
become
control.
robots.
Yeah.
And I immediately think of Grant Morrison's We Three.
Oh yeah,
There's
Oh,
that
man.
one from a number of years back.
That'll
but then,
make you cry.
But more recently though, what was the one? Red Rover. This is
What was that one called? It was Rover One? Or no,
not Red Rover. Red Rover's a game. But this is one I think Freddie had read, because he talked about it maybe a year and a half ago on the show.
Where's Freddie?
He's probably working.
we can trade spots.
But yeah, that one.
over here
God,
to
what
talk
was that
about
one? But it
comics.
was similar idea to a lot of stuff. But and those are good stories. I like those stories though, where it shows you that we sometimes, hopefully not all the time, but there are terrible stuff that happens to animals, and we need to be made aware of it. And then telling an animal story is a good way of doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Squirrel Years was also really good. Still really good.
What was the one on
Squarriors?
went out several
Squarriors.
years ago about the Baghdad Zoo during the first one?
Oh,
That was
Pride
a
of Baghdad.
Yeah, Pride of Baghdad.
That was Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I still recommend that one to just about anybody. Where it's basically during the first Iraq War, while we were bombing Iraq, they bombed, of course, the zoo on accident, but the animals escaped and had an adventure. So he did a whole comic book on these lions that were walking around the city and doing the crazy stuff that was going on in that stuff. So you got a little bit of what was going on during the Iraq War and an animal story at the same time. It's pretty brutal. So I warn you, it's not like a lion story or any Disney type stuff, but it's really, really good. If you love Brian K. Vaughan, this is probably one of his best works out there. Really, really good stuff.
That's one of those. I'm going to have to go back and reread Pride of Baghdad, because I'm one of the only people that I know that it's not like I didn't like the book, but I'm not really enamored of it the way that everyone else is. And maybe it was the attitude when I first read it, because I thought it was a little too emotionally heavy-handed in what he was attempting to do, almost to the point of being maudlin. And it's very, in that way, it's very different from anything else that Brian K. Vaughan's done.
Yeah.
And so I wondered at the time if that was just his outlet, right? He wanted to get really emotional, and I thought it was a little too much. I have to reread it though. Maybe I'll change my mind.
I don't know. I liked it, but
Everybody else does. I feel like the
I didn't think he was
Grinch
being too
now.
maudlin. I really thought it was, and maybe he was upset with what was going on and was trying to write about it during that time. But I guess I missed the part where he was being too emotional. I was more interested into what are these lions going to do, and
Gotta eat
how are they
everybody
going to live
see.
through all of the situations and all that stuff and all the craziness that was going on. Maybe I just got too caught up with that and the story along with that, and how are they going to defeat the bear? And it's like,
There's a bear involved?
oh God, there's a bear involved.
This is a zoo we're talking about.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah.
The
Fair
Baghdad
enough.
Zoo.
It's I don't know. I guess I missed it being too heavy-handed, but maybe I was just too much into that story.
Yeah. Or again, it could be me.
Maybe I need
just
to read it
curmudgeon.
again. Maybe.
Well, I don't think it's just you because I really liked Why the Last Man. That I am remembering correctly. That is Vaughan.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
I thought so. I just want to make sure. But I did enjoy it. But I didn't. I'm not among the, I guess, seems very large group of people who think it's his best work and it's transcendent for comics and it's this amazing thing. I think it's very good because Brian K. Vaughan tends to write good, but it didn't. And I don't feel about all the story, but it didn't really grab me and shake me and go, look at this and read this and be amazed by this like it did for a lot of people I know. It seems.
Okay, now Tristan, do you think that for the entire series, or maybe just for the end, or
not just for the end? I don't really want to get too specific as to which parts, but it's more around the middle of it. Like it starts off great. And it kind of, for me, veers a bit as it gets more in the middle area, and then as it leads up to the ending, I actually felt it got a lot better.
Okay.
So that might just be me.
Okay. Well, did you read Ex Machina, which is going on at about the same time?
I have not had the chance to read it.
Oh, okay.
At this point.
Okay, because that was one. So Why the Last Man he was doing for Vertigo, and then Ex Machina was with Wildstorm.
Yeah.
Also DC. But I thought that those were two nice companion pieces, very different. They were going on roughly the same time, or at least to some degree the same time. One more overtly political than the other.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it kind of it might be my feeling with a lot of stuff that tends to be more post-apocalyptic. The Walking Dead is another thing like that sort of for me, where I think with a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff, it tends to do a whole lot of cool stuff with the scenario that is created for itself right off the bat, and then as it tries to focus in more on one or two storylines, it tends to get a little
Lost.
Kind of. Yeah, it loses some of the spark.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
most of what I read tends to pick it up by the end, and as it kind of builds towards a more satisfying finish. That might just be me. I might just have poor taste. But,
I feel like I want to cast them again.
What are you guys reading? Or reading or watching? We watch a lot of movies too.
To Chris, and also while we were talking, we haven't introduced, I guess, a friend of yours, Chris. You guys seem to know each other. What is your name?
Carrie.
Carrie. Hey, Carrie.
Hi.
Welcome to. In fact, you have the maybe benefit, maybe the burden of being the one female voice here at the table. So feel free to chime in. Give us a little balance here. But what are you guys reading or watching?
So I'm reading a lot of mainstream stuff right now, to be honest. But
It's all right. I read a lot of that.
Same here. Me too.
There's a
Guilty.
So the first issue, I've read the first issue of Legendary Defender, which is a series that's based on the new Netflix Voltron.
Oh yeah, nice. That was really well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
So,
comic. It
I'm
was
a big
written by
fan.
the same the writers as did the show and all that.
Right, and the
Yeah,
artwork.
that's super cool.
The artwork looks
Oh,
just
it's
like
beautiful.
the show as well.
Yeah, I love that book. It was great.
So they've only, I think the second issue may have just come out.
Did
So
it?
I'm
Oh,
only
nice.
one issue deep in there, but so far so good. They've set it between two of the episodes of the first season. So it's something brand new, but still familiar.
Okay.
And if you loved the Voltron cartoon that was out on Netflix, you'll love this book. It's really well done. Or at least just one issue in, it's really well done. Yes.
do you all recommend the show? Should I check it out?
I highly recommend it. It's highly. It's a space opera now.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's where the actual, the previous episodes matter to the later episodes. Highly recommend it.
Yes.
You'll actually begin to care for these characters. And, and a whole bunch of other weird. I know it's weird. It's you try to compare it to the original Voltron stuff, and it's just not comparable stuff. And I love the old Voltron stuff, and this is so much better.
And you're talking about the animated.
Yeah, the animated stuff. But I definitely check out. Highly recommend the Netflix Voltron Legendary Defender. It's absolutely amazing.
It did so well, it got picked up for a second season already. So
Yeah,
and it's been only, a month or so?
Yeah.
Something like that,
And the first season ends in a cliffhanger. You really want to see the next
No,
season.
that's what's like, oh no, what happened?
They did it on purpose.
Right?
Yeah, they did. They were hoping it was going to do well, so they would get a second season. And man, did it do much better? I think even they were hoping for.
Working with the guys from Image Comics to end it right where they want you to, of course.
Yes.
I need more. I need to feed the addiction.
See, this is. I'm kind of sorry. I'm both interested and sorry to hear about this because I didn't really know about it. What this means is it's yet another series on Netflix that I'm going to have to find time to watch because I still have not gotten into season 2 of Daredevil. Oh my! I haven't
Just watch it. Just watch it while you're reading your comics. Just look up occasionally, like, oh, something's going on. Huh?
No, that's not a good way to watch that show. That's not a good way to watch that show at all.
Season 2, you'll
I'm
be
just saying
fine.
Daredevil,
Just watch
it's
the
very
first couple
expensive.
episodes with Punisher, and then as soon as Elektra shows up, just stop.
No, because
that's
they're
about
even
actually
at
where
the
it
end. No, because even at the end, the Punisher is doing stuff that's even just as cool as stuff like that.
Right, so watch the last episode and then.
No, you
know.
just watch the whole thing. It's because the Punisher story is still going on even while you have the Elektra stuff going on. You have I don't want to spoil it for anybody, the one person who hasn't seen it. But,
I'm unique.
but I like the Elektra story as well, so I shouldn't say anything. So, but definitely that's a must watch. But
I want to see it. I had every intention of watching the second season back in June because I had to go to Charlotte, North Carolina to see about some stuff with my dad. And I was there about a little over 2 weeks. And I was at his house by myself, so I thought, okay, I'll use that opportunity to watch Netflix. I had my laptop and catch up with Daredevil. And so one night, fired up the computer, went to Netflix for that purpose. And I saw a notification for Orange is the New Black, which I had not seen at the time. And my son has been trying to get me to watch Orange is the New Black for the longest time. And I thought, let me just see what this is about. So I watched the first episode and I was hooked. So then I started watching all of Orange is the New Black at the expense of catching up on
Yeah, that is a black hole you cannot get out of.
yeah,
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, it's really good.
Orange
It
is
is
the new
good.
black hole.
yeah.
There you go. Dum-dum.
Oh boy.
He'll be here all weeks, folks.
What else y'all reading?
Yeah.
I'm also a couple of issues into the Fight Club too.
Oh, nice.
Is that good?
So far,
Yeah, it's entertaining. You liked Fight Club, the movie. You'll like it.
I've heard good
Right.
things
Good to
about
hear.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
It will-
experience with it is just that 0 issue
that
last year
came
for
out
Free
for Free
Comic Book
Comic,
Day. Yeah,
yeah.
but I haven't read the rest of it. So you're just getting into it?
just getting into it.
Are you a fan of the movie or novel?
Both.
Or both?
Absolutely.
Nice.
So definitely interested in seeing how that plays out a few years later. It's interesting already where they've taken some of the characters, but it's also if you've got their fan theories about some like the movie and some of the characters that they don't continue in this. If that's what you're hoping for.
Is it written by Chuck?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. So this is canon.
This is
Okay. Yep. Make those fans angry.
Nice.
Well, this is an interesting phenomena of writers from, let's say, maybe their forte is prose fiction, getting into comics and seeing how they do. So he's one. William Gibson just recently began that series with, who's the publisher of that? I can't remember the title.
Wow.
God, now I'm really bad because I went out and got it because he was writing it.
But I've heard that that's pretty good. I
It is
haven't read
pretty
it.
good.
And he did Neuromancer.
Yeah.
Primarily,
Yeah,
he's done
he-
other things, but that's primarily what he's known for. And then coming out soon, Margaret Atwood has the new Angel Catbird. Yes, coming out.
And then Brandon Sanderson also.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Sanderson is doing White Sands.
Yes,
Um,
which is really, really
I
good.
know.
Well, years ago we had Stephen King trying his hand.
Oh, American
at,
Vampire, yeah.
Yeah, American Vampire. And then before that, his Gunslinger series. I guess he had. Was he adapting that, or did someone else adapt? the
I
Gunslinger?
think he helped. Do you mean the Dark Tower?
Dark Tower, yeah.
I know that he helped write some of the abridge it a bit to fit into a comic, but I think someone else was for the most. Or no, sorry, he did all the writing, and someone else just he got to do the art.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
But American Vampire, he was on for the first narrative arc, and then after that, he left, and then Scott Snyder.
Yes.
Or I think didn't Snyder work with him from the beginning
From the
on
beginning,
that?
and then Snyder took over.
Right, and then
that.
Stephen King pulled back.
Yep.
Anthony Bourdain wrote a comic book.
Who?
Anthony Bourdain.
Really?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Food critic / chef. He's a chef. He wrote a comic. No, I think we have it over there. It's called Get Jiro. I just finished it yesterday. It's really good. It's really good. It's about chef gangs that take over a post-dystopian city. It's really good. It sounds terrible, but it's really good.
Well, there's even the cultural critic, and I can't remember his name, the new writer of Black Panther.
Archangel was the book that he wrote. Comic book, or William Gibson.
Gibson, okay.
Sorry, had to look it up. It's bothering me.
It's gonna drive you crazy.
It was driving me nuts. Archangel was his book, for IDW.
Okay.
It's not.
But then who's the Black Panther
It's not
writer? I can't
Coates,
remember.
Is it?
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, I can't say his first name, but his last name is Coates.
Have you guys been reading that?
Yes,
And how is it?
fantastic. He has his vision of Black Panther is so unique. So he starts off with an actual revolution in Wakanda, which is in Wakanda that is unheard of. They all love the Black Panther. He is the king. They all think he's greatness. That they don't like what he's doing now, and actually thinking about revolting against him is unheard of in Wakanda history. And he goes up there and goes up. Not only do they have revolutionaries, but they actually have people that are actually trying to fight the Black Panther, other than some of their traditional stuff like that. It's a really unique take on Black Panther. That is probably one of the better Marvel titles out there. Highly recommend checking it out.
Really well with the Ultimates too.
Yeah, Black Panther now has to take time away from his duties with the Avengers and all that type of stuff to try and how do you as an unpopular leader, how do you get the heart back of the people? And he has to try and figure all that stuff out because they're really unhappy with him and what he's been doing lately. And to the point where they're ready to kick out the whole royal family and start with something new. And of course, all of Wakanda's enemies are waiting in the background, seeing how this is going to, pile up. Because Wakanda has been the only African nation that has never been conquered, and so it's a really interesting story arc going on in Black Panther right now. That's completely unique, and you're getting more of the ruler of Wakanda, less than the superhero, and that's pretty cool. So. Highly recommend it if you're. I know, if you're not into Marvel or DC, but that's one of them that I would recommend picking up.
So again, that's a successful transition from a writer working in one medium going into comics.
Yeah,
another medium.
That's one is a lot of fun. For people who are fans of DC, I do recommend picking up the new Wonder Woman. That one has been fantastic. It's
part of the novel.
I think his author's
Rucka?
name. Greg Rucka's
Yeah.
take on Wonder Woman, and they've allowed him to, just to write and be crazy, and it's been fantastic. I love his take on Wonder Woman, where she actually wraps the lasso of truth around her and asks, who am I? And she's looking in a mirror at the time, and the mirror answers back that you've been lied to. What you think is your origin is not true. So now she's on a quest to figure out who she is.
Yeah, it's a relatively clever sort of little retcon that they're doing.
Yeah, and I've been loving it. If you're fans of Greg Rucka work, I recommend Wonder Woman checking it out. It's a really neat take on her.
Rucka's another one that, a lot of people think of him, he's a comics guy. Well, he is, but, he has a long, previous history in prose fiction.
Yeah. I remember back when it was kind of oddity, you had Neil Gaiman, he was a comic book writer that went to novels, and that's kind of how I always remembered it. And now it seems the guys that are writing novels are coming to comic books to tell stuff.
Or you have people in other media who are writing comic books. Gerard Way is another example there, and I'm really looking forward to his new Doom Patrol soon.
Yes.
But I mean, he's done other things as well. The Umbrella Academy, and then other musicians have written comics. And what is the actress who wrote Hacktivist? I can't remember the actress's name.
Craig, look it up.
But anyway, the internet. That's yet another example of someone from another aspect of the entertainment industry trying her hand at comics.
You mentioned film, and that makes me think of because that's kind of my whole thing. David Fincher, I saw had something in the shop here. I can't remember the name, but he helped. It was an adaptation of a book actually that he helped write. It looks like. At least that's what the summary on the back said. And my favorite director, Guillermo del Toro, actually wrote. It started off as a book, I believe, and then went to
Alyssa Milano.
Well, okay.
That's who it was.
Sorry.
No worries. Gave me time to think. It went from being a novel that he wrote with Chuck. I want to say his name was Chuck.
I'm not sure.
I apologize. I don't remember who co-wrote The Strain with him, but it went from novel to graphic novel to the TV show on FX, I believe. And
Oh, yeah.
That's been a pretty big success.
I thought it was a TV show before it was a comic.
I think before it was a comic, but the book.
The book came out first. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah. I think you might be right. I think they decided, hey, more books.
Yep.
Books everywhere.
People like this.
Yeah.
And they may pay more for it.
And it's a good series, too.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I have the habit, similar to like trades and single issues, I want to just wait for it to wrap up.
Yeah.
And then I can just watch it all in one sitting.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what is it that you guys are looking forward to in the next few weeks? Like new series, new titles, new.
Go ahead. You haven't
Nothing to
spoken.
contribute.
What am I looking? Planet of the Apes meets Tarzan.
Yes.
That's coming out because those are two great tastes that go great together. That needs to happen. And that's coming out, I can't remember if it's next month or a couple of months from now. 2 months. Really looking forward to that one. I think that's an interesting crossover event. Can't wait for it.
Okay.
I'm waiting for Injustice to finally finish.
Before the next game comes
After
out?
5 years.
It's never going to finish. They just announced a new game.
I'm waiting for 5 years. And they were like, yeah, year 5's only going to be 25 issues. And then,
Year 20.
yeah.
Hey, welcome to the pain of being a fan of the comic series Berserk.
Yeah.
Yeah. That series started before I was born, and he will probably die before I do.
And you went on a, 20-year hiatus before the new series started?
Yeah, I think
Just recently?
Yep, and it was about, hey, you might get like half a panel every year, and that's it. And from all I've heard, the new series is not very good.
It's all over the place, yeah.
And that hurts me because it's been the original series was 97, the show?
Yes.
Yeah.
The year I was born, the original show came on, and that show is still great, and you can still find it. It adapts the best arc, but then nothing for forever.
Yep.
Aw.
Yep.
But there is the
Well,
new
they had the 2 movies, right?
3 movies, and
Three
those
movies, yeah.
adapted the same
Oh, did
basic
they?
but-
Yep.
And it's the same problem that a lot of people have with the new show is the animation, because it's more 3D, mimicking the style of 2D, and that was the movies as well. I have heard though the eclipse in the 3rd movie, in that I guess visual style, that's the one time that 3D animation really makes itself. It proves its worth. The eclipse has never looked more
It's really good.
brutal. And if you've read Berserk, you'll know why that's a good thing.
No kidding.
So that's what you were looking forward to.
More news about more Berserk coming up. Yeah. That'd be great. I do need to check out the Preacher show, because I've heard mixed things about that. And is there any news about the Wicked and the Divine adaptation? Or?
Not yet. It's not that I've heard, anyways. The best news I've heard, according to TV, is the comic book Runaways is going to get a Hulu show.
Yes.
Oh,
That would be
so
When is Weird World supposed to come out?
I don't know. I haven't heard any definite
Hold on,
stuff on that.
hold
either.
on. Runaways,
Yeah.
a Marvel property
Yeah.
on Hulu.
Yeah.
With Marvel doing the things on Netflix, why not Netflix?
I don't know. They didn't say. They
Hulu
just,
might offer more
only
money?
thing they did was just saying we're happy to partner with Hulu to put out Runaways.
Maybe they want
Didn't
their
say more.
fingers in everyone's soups.
That's probably it.
They want more money from me because I don't have a Hulu subscription
That's
right now,
probably
but I'm
it.
going to get one for this.
Well, and it sort of seems like they're reserving the Netflix original content to the more sort of adult themed stuff, whereas so Hulu might be a good avenue for them to sort of put out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, teenager type.
Or some more sort of YA.
Makes sense.
Or Amazon. They've been putting out some pretty good stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with Daredevil you got a lot of violence. With Jessica Jones you got a lot of sex. So,
And violence.
although I think it's much more with the sex than the violence.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I just started it and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
At points.
Well, I watch it with family, so
Yeah.
yeah.
They put that M rating there for a reason. Hey kids, gather around the TV.
Well, it's so weird that
Story
it's
time.
to have these characters connected to the MCU, and it's like, oh, hey kids, you love you got your Hulk hands and your action figures. So everybody, time to watch Jessica.
You didn't pre-read Alias before.
Oh, I read Alias.
Okay.
I knew exactly
So
what
you-
to expect. I probably should have thought about that when I wasn't planning to watch this one with family. I did with Daredevil because,
Right.
but my family can handle violence. But they were in the room when I threw on Jessica Jones. They came in halfway through, and I can't stop them if they decided they like it.
Oh.
Nice.
Their horrified faces.
It's painful.
The show's kind of
That's
tame
nice.
compared to the comic, though.
Yeah, for sure. There's only so much you could put on, TV cinema. So, I mean, I guess the same thing with the Kick-Ass or Kick-Ass 2,
yeah.
where they couldn't do so much
Quite
and
as-
they toned it down and people didn't like it.
Yep.
But Jessica Jones was still good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
it's
enjoyed
still-
it.
I liked it.
great.
So,
Looking forward to finishing it.
I liked it a lot. It was really well done. It was really a great adaptation of that graphic novel, and I didn't think it could be done.
I was thinking to myself, if they ever do an adaptation of this, and I'm sorry that I'm dragging out the conversation about more mainstream stuff.
No,
but,
that's why we do this thing.
like I mentioned before, David Fincher, huge fan of his, and
my
I
God.
remember thinking he would be the perfect person to adapt this, and then in my head I'm like, well, but he's pretty big, they're not going to try and get him for a series, but he, in a way, when he adapted The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo very successfully, that felt kind of like, okay, if you take away all the superhero stuff, this almost feels like in tone it could be a good
Yeah.
companion.
Yeah.
those movies are still going, right?
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Yeah.
There was the trio of books by the late, unfortunately, writer Steve Larson.
Right.
The trio was adapted in his native country, and then the first movie was adapted by Fincher, starring Daniel
Oh,
Craig
okay,
and
right,
Mark.
yeah.
And then the film was unfortunately considered by Sony to be a financial failure, and there have been reports of possibly moving forward with and I can't believe they used this word, but reboot. And this is with a recent fourth edition to the series being written by a new up-and-coming guy.
Right, yeah.
Who decided, I guess they figured, we can get money off of this name, but the time when those books were at their big, everyone's in fever for Dragon Tattoo is kind of past, and I love that book. I think the two sequels are okay, but I don't know if another adaptation of any of the books is really worth the time. Now that there's been the okay Swedish ones and the very
Right.
good American one, I don't know. I might just be kind of talking out of fanboyism for Fincher, but I think it's in my head that his adaptation captured everything about the book that I
Right.
really felt I needed.
Okay. And then what I'm looking forward to, I'm not sure if it'll come out this month or next, is Shade the Changing Girl.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
another in the new DC series of
Yeah.
the young. Why am I blanking? on-
Young Animal.
Young Animal,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
series, yeah, which seems like to be their new Vertigo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
So that I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah. Let's see how long Shade actually stays a girl, though. So, because he does flip flop
Yes.
every 10 comics or
Somewhere around there.
say yeah.
That statement confused me for a second there, but
It
that's,
was
that's
meant
part
to,
of the
yeah.
comic. Okay.
I mean, the first villain they fought off in the comics was American Scream, which is like, I'm thinking Uncle Sam, a skeleton version of Uncle Sam, who dealt with madness and making people's brains explode. So, yeah, I can imagine it would confuse a lot of people. It confused me.
Skeleton Uncle Sam that makes people's
Brains explode with madness. Yes, it's
Not the
the
weirdest
very
thing,
6 episode or 6 first issues. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You seem a little.
I kind of like those really out there, confusing comics.
So we're talking about the things that you guys were looking forward to. So, well, no, because on that topic, I want to just ask you guys about something to look forward to for next month, and that is there a particular focus or theme that you would like to discuss in the September On Location show? Now, not horror, because we're going to save that for October, in the month of Halloween. We don't have to have a particular topic or theme, but if you guys are chomping at the bit to discuss something,
Greg, you
I
have
won't be
any
here,
idea?
so I can't. Say
I
anything.
may
You have to
not be
reschedule
here.
all
Thanks
your
to-
classes.
Yes.
Thanks to college, I may not be.
Your
here.
classes
I
for
will try.
Wednesday.
All right, I'll try to reschedule my college classes.
You could be
3 days
so-
before school starts. Yes, I will do that when I get home.
Good.
College, they're very understanding at college. They
I have to go to a podcast.
Hey, if I'm-
well, you don't
is
necessarily have to
essential.
have evening courses. I'm going to be on Wednesdays. I'm going to be driving here on the way home from campus. So,
Well, I work during the days.
okay, so you
it's-
have to take.
I have to take night classes with my work schedule, sadly.
Yeah.
But
would be a good idea. So,
hey, if I could just get paid to sit around and watch Netflix and read comics all day, I would. I mean,
Hey,
Still trying to
become
get
a
that
successful
job.
So I guess those of you who may not be here, not choosing something is probably good, because there have been times, and I'm thinking of about a year ago, that some people said, "Ooh, let's talk about fantasy comics," and we said, "Okay, we'll choose that as a topic." And the people who wanted that, specifically
show up.
Sabrina and Stephanie, didn't show up. And so I think I was the only one who brought up a fantasy title. I brought up Rat Queens.
yeah.
Didn't we talk about it for 30 minutes and then we switched to something totally
Oh,
different?
we didn't even talk about it for maybe
I don't think we went
5
that
minutes.
long. Yeah, I was
okay.
I
gonna
think I talked
say.
about
Then we moved on.
Warriors too then, and like a couple.
That's
of
kind
other
of fantasy.
things.
Yeah.
But we didn't have much.
None of us read Rat
That was
Queens
only 2
or-
issues in, right?
Well, we
Last year?
we can keep the September show open. We don't have to have a particular theme or anything.
I was trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I can't think of anything really quickly that goes along with September except back to
Was there
school.
anything coming out in September that we could possibly talk about? Concentrate and talk about?
Oh, there are a lot of things coming out in September. It's just you're talking about a particular grouping of comics, or
Yeah, sure.
I know that over the next month or two, there seem to be a lot of crime comics coming out. But I know that I'm going to be, Andy and I are tentatively planning a 2-episode special looking at recent crime noir comics for October.
With the new book, Black Monday Murders, is that kind of a crime drama, or is that more of a
Yes.
science fiction deal?
It's kind of a genre mashup, from what I understand, and that's one that we'll talk about. I don't know if we're going to wait till
Right.
the special crime shows that we do in October. We may talk about it before, because Andy's friends with Jonathan Hickman.
Oh, nice.
So he's gotten some inside scoop of what's going on here.
So yeah,
Alright,
crime and noir dramas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. I mean, we don't have to stick with a particular theme or genre.
No, but we can start with that and see
yeah.
where it goes.
Okay, so you want to talk about crime comics
Yeah.
next time? Okay.
Yeah.
I read a few.
You don't
of
have to
them.
twist my arm to talk about crime.
Yeah, it'll force me to go out and try some new books. I don't usually read a lot of crime dramas, but it'll force me to read some different types of books. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff coming out now. We did a show 2 weeks ago that was focused on recent noir titles. It just kind of worked out that way. We kind of planned it a little bit. I know another noir title that would be great to discuss, a crime title, is, I don't know what issue is out now, maybe 4? Control. Andy Dingle from Dynamite puts that out. So that's I read that first issue and reviewed it on the show. That's really good. So,
Remind me, was that the one y'all talked about when you also discussed? It's on Weird Detective. Is that the
Yes.
same? Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
and Weird Detective is arguably another crime comic that it's one of these genre mashups.
All right. Well,
So
now,
it deals with the fantastic or the weird, especially in the Lovecraftian sense.
okay, cool. Now I got some stuff to read that I can prepare for next month's deal. So,
Okay, so next month we can talk about crime comics. And this could be kind of like a teaser into what Andy and I are going to be doing the next month when we do our 2-episode special on crime noir comics.
Nice.
That'd be good.
And in case you just need, there's always Batman. He does some crime noir books every once
That's
in a while.
kind of cheating, though.
Every once in a while, I need to cheat and get the superhero stuff.
After all, this is a character who appeared originally in Detective Comics.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
It still does.
Yeah.
Still does, yeah.
But I mean, it also fits because he is a criminal. He's
Yes.
a vigilante. He runs around. He beats up the poor for deeming to ally themselves with criminals, but still.
He beats up the poor.
Well, you got to be a pretty desperate situation to want to work for the Joker or for Black Mask.
This is very true,
Yeah.
but those henchmen
That's
don't
awesome.
have
I
like
like
half
the way
a
you
brain
think,
between
man.
them. So
Right, I guess. Well, especially not when he beats them.
Hey, this is a Marxist reading.
That's awesome.
Everyone's poor when you compare him to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that's true.
So so we'll plan on the crime comics for next month. Any parting words, any burning desires to share something before we sign off?
the webcomic, The Meek, is finally getting a physical copy on Kickstarter. They're doing,
Nice.
I think, physical or softcover and hardcover right now, and deluxe editions. But I think it's like 150 pages, so it's a pretty decent arc. So if you haven't already, check that out. I believe if you check out the Kickstarter site, it'll have a link to their actual website where it's listed where you can just read it for free. And then if you love it, which you should purchase yourself a copy.
And that's a really good webcomic. We discussed that on the webcomic series a few months ago, so that was really good. Definitely. Any other last words, suggestions?
Guys, check out IDW. They're doing an amazing job with just toys like Micronauts, Transformers, G.I. Joe, ROM. It's amazing what they're doing with toys, and they're also setting up their shared universe stuff too, and they're getting some really cool ideas on that.
Yeah, that starts
next
this month or next month? Okay,
yeah, I think it starts officially next month, but they're already ramping it up. So.
Everybody starts clashing. It's going to be awesome.
So it's
if they clash too much in their toys, might this turn into Toy Story?
Oh God, we can only
Transformers playing with their Micronauts.
You can only hope. That'd be amazing.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming into the shop and talking with us, sharing one thing or another. Craig, Matt, Tristan, Chris, Carrie. You said a few words, and Nick, and then and those were important 3 words. And then Brian, who went to do his work, which is what he's employed to do. We thank him as well. So yeah, we've been at Collected Comics and Games in Plano, Texas. They're located at 3100 Independence Parkway in Plano, Texas, the corner of Independence and Parker. Definitely come on by, and if you're in the area and you do come in, just say, hey, I heard about you guys on the Comics Alternative. What you got to sell me? You can, and then say it that way. And if you do are lucky enough to come into this shop, then definitely get in touch with us and let us know what you think, not only about this On Location episode, but your experience at Collected. If you go to the website, comicsalternative.com, you'll find that you can leave us a voice message directly from your computing device through the wonders of SpeakPipe, which is really easy to use. Or you can call us the old-fashioned way by picking up that phone and dialing 4153-COMICS. That's 415-326-6427. You can email the podcast. We're 2guys@comicsalternative.com. Or you can email me directly. I'm Derek at comicsalternative.com. You can find us all over social media, such as on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, Google+, Goodreads, Pinterest, and YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast through iTunes. You can stream us on Stitcher. You can also find us on TuneIn. You can listen to us on Spotify, and if you're an Android user, on Google Play Music. But you can always and still find every single one of our podcast episodes, as well as the written reviews and comics-related commentary that we post on our blog by going to the website, comicsalternative.com. So there you go. Get in touch with us. Yeah, I can take a breath now. So, guys, get in touch with us. And everyone here at the table, thank you. I had a great time.
Thank you for having us.
It was great.